The town of Enterprise is nestled in the northeastern corner of Oregon. It has a population of about 2,000 people, and it's not really near anything.
Enterprise is this beautiful place in the middle of nowhere.
Darrell Brann came to Enterprise in 2001 to work on a ranch, where he fell in love with the woman he ended up marrying, Christi.
I worked 2 weeks here.
And then I came home from college and he played Taj Mahal, Lovin' in My Baby's Eyes. And,
I was playing a lot more than that.
You know,
I did play that song.
Yeah, that was the song though.
Yeah.
They both love music. And together, they're on a mission to bring more of it to their small community. 10 years ago, they bought the old OK Theater on West Main Street. The venue has been in Enterprise for over 100 years. For decades, it was a movie theater. It finally closed in 2012. That's when new releases switched from reel to digital only, and the theater's owners didn't have the funds to make the expensive upgrades. Darrell and Christi Brann decided to buy the OK Theater and reimagine it as a music venue.
You know, I just thought it was a great opportunity, and I was super excited about it, but I'm like the eternal optimist.
Well, and he's amazing at vision and seeing what something could be and having wonderful ideas for how to get it there.
I'm just not a millionaire.
It turns out you don't have to be a millionaire to attract world-class talent to a rural music venue. From the Gert Boyle studio, I'm Jen Chavez, and this is The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB about the place you call home. The Branns reopened the OK Theater as a music venue in late 2013 and really got things going in 2014, so they are celebrating 10 years of shows. Of course, there was a break in there due to the pandemic, but they came back strong, and they're building something that people in Enterprise, as well as touring musicians, seem to be really into. Kate McMahon is a producer for OPB's Oregon Art Beat, and she spent a lot of time with the Branns last year. Kate, what first drew you to Darrell and Christi Brann in the OK Theater?
Well, I first heard about it from the executive producer of Oregon Art Beat, Jessica Martin. She was really keen to get producers back into travel production after the pandemic to tell more stories about places all across Oregon. And then she told me that the OK Theater books big-name musicians from all over the country. And that got me curious. How do they do that?
Right.
So I just kind of cold called the Branns, as you do as a journalist. You call people up out of the blue. And it's kind of a funny story. They told me when I first reached out to them from OPB, they were a little skeptical because there's a fair amount of public opinion in Eastern Oregon that holds that journalists from Portland are too woke and don't understand their way of life. Yeah, but then starting with Darrell and eventually with Christi, I had multiple lengthy phone conversations with them. We just talked and talked. I mostly listened, and I also shared that I grew up in rural Oregon myself, and most of my life I've straddled the so-called urban-rural divide, and I could really relate to stuff they were telling me about their community and how it contrasts with issues in Portland. And for example, I found out that oftentimes when there is a social problem or conflict in Enterprise, the people come together at the town gazebo and work things out. I remember thinking, wow, Portlanders could learn a lot from Enterprise. So by the time we were done filming, Darrell and Christi told me that their initial skepticism had turned into feeling like I was actually a long-lost relative calling them up on the phone. And as a filmmaker, that's about the highest compliment I could ever be paid because it meant I had earned their trust.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's kind of what we all hope for as storytellers going out into our communities.
Yes.
Before they bought the theater about a decade ago, Darrell was working as a general contractor, and Christi was focused on homeschooling their 5 children. It turns out the skills they each use in those jobs are useful in running the theater as well. Darrell has lots of connections with construction professionals, including a guy named Steve Arment. Steve is a master woodworker, and he helped transform the inside of the theater into a work of art. He calls the style Wallowa County Baroque.
It's local and it's still on a grand scale. That was the goal of the feel we wanted for the whole thing. And hopefully we were somewhat successful.
The Brann children are also involved in the theater, selling tickets and concessions.
I'm selling candy. I got sour mix and I have Swedish Finch and Sour Patch Kids and Warheads.
Their daughter even sells ice cream out of a refurbished van they parked near the theater. And of course, Darrell and Christi have each taken on much of the work of keeping the OK Theater running smoothly.
I am the owner, or part owner with my wife, and I also do the promotion, booking, and cleaning at times, and whatever needs to be done. Construction work, design, all the rest, yeah.
And I do a lot of the hospitality here at the OK Theater, making sure the band members are fed and musicians who come are fed, and then also just helping with organizing our sponsors and other things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of work here.
So as Darrell said before, Enterprise is kind of in the middle of nowhere in Eastern Oregon. It's fairly isolated. So how do they get touring musicians to come through to the OK Theater in Enterprise, Oregon?
Exactly. That is the question. Well, the word isolated is definitely accurate to describe where Enterprise is. It is 60 miles from the nearest traffic light.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's hard for me to imagine. There's like a traffic light like every 50 feet here in Portland.
It's rimmed by the Wallowa Mountains and it's surrounded by miles and miles of farm and ranch lands. It's just beautiful out there. So given where it is and how far away it is from infrastructure and transportation and such of big cities, another one of Darrell's jobs is driving musicians to and from the closest airport, which is 2 hours away in Walla Walla, Washington. When we were filming, it was the month of February, and the entire region out that way was snowy. That was the weather condition the day Darrell picked up a Grammy-winning artist at the Walla Walla airport. It was a 5-hour round-trip ordeal.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and on the drive back to Enterprise, I followed Darrell in OPB's Forerunner over this snowy mountain pass called the Tollgate Pass. It's somewhere, it sort of connects Milton, Freewater, and Elgin. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking 20-foot snowbanks. Oh my gosh. In blizzard conditions on this road, and we're following Darrell, and so his truck is flying snow up at us, and my cinematographer Stephanie Gordon is hanging out the window getting the shot.
Oh no.
Anyway, that's what he does. He will go to great lengths to get these amazing musicians out to his isolated community for shows.
Yeah, and I mean, snowy, blizzard, super commutes aside, I can imagine that musicians have a very different experience playing the OK Theater than they would in, say, Portland or Seattle, right?
Absolutely, Jen. That's it to a T. So the artist we filmed Darrell picking up that day was John Cleary.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He's kind of a big deal. He's a Grammy award-winning musician who lives in New Orleans, who has played in Bonnie Raitt's band, has appeared on late night shows. And so it was kind of a head scratcher to me as to why he'd leave his tour in Seattle, fly to Walla Walla, drive nearly 3 hours through blizzard conditions, and put on a show for an isolated community. But when he explained his reasons why, it all made sense.
I play all sorts of establishments, from funky bar rooms to the Royal Albert Hall and the Hollywood Bowl and all kinds of places. But I tend to like small audiences, and I tend to like intimate rooms, and I like a place that's got some spirit, some soul in it. And this place certainly does. You know, when you walk into a new room and you sit down and play, and there's a lot of people, many of whom have never heard you before, you have to create an atmosphere. And so in a room like this, the atmosphere is already created before I even get anywhere near the piano. So it makes my job a lot easier.
You know, I gotta say, just as like a music fan, this sounds like the exact kind of atmosphere that I would want to be in for a show. Like, I've been to huge stadium shows or music festivals, and like the ones that are most memorable to me are the ones where there were like a few dozen people there. That sounds so special.
It really is. John said, I like a room with some good funk in it, you know?
Yes, yes. Well, coming up after a break, we'll hear more about the economics of running a rural music venue and what keeps the Branns going. Thanks for listening to The Evergreen, our podcast from OPB about the place you call home. If you dig what you hear, subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, and we will brighten your Monday morning just a little bit with something new and exciting to listen to each week. You can also follow OPB on Instagram at OPB Photo, or follow me directly at Jen Chavez OPB, that's Jen with 2 N's, and I will keep you posted on what Team Evergreen is up to. And remember, this episode about the OK Theater and all the great OPB reporting and storytelling you hear on this show is made possible by the support of many thousands of OPB members. That is the power of public media. Support our journalism by becoming an OPB sustaining member today at opb.org/pod. And now, back to the show. So, Kate, I know you went to the show that John Cleary played at the OK Theater. How was it? How many people were there?
So let me set the scene. It's a cold, dark February night. In fact, earlier that day, I had bumped into some cattle ranchers who were out driving around checking on newborn calves for loss of life in freezing temps. It was really cold.
Wow.
Yeah, but by evening, when the OK Theater opened its doors, I'd say about 10% of the town came inside, got warm and cozy, enjoyed a world-class solo concert by John Cleary on piano. But this was not a mellow piano solo show. He was totally rocking out. And by the end of the night, a raucous dance party erupted at the foot of the stage. My favorite part was seeing Darrell and Christi dancing together in the middle of the crowd. And then after the show, everyone was buzzing with good vibes, and I got to talk to a few of them in the lobby.
Lovely. I've never seen something that spectacular in my life. That's really the best music I've ever heard in my life.
Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. He just oozed music.
It was the most awesome show ever.
So as you can hear, Jen, people were pretty into it. Darrell told me that the theater can hold up to 15% of the enterprise population, and I think that night it came kind of close.
Okay, so if 15% of the city's population is needed to fill the theater, I mean, how often are they able to have shows?
Good question. They told me they started doing shows about every week in 2015, but then they realized we need to scale back. In 2023, they were still somewhat recovering from the pandemic and were aiming for about 1 concert a month on average. Looking at their 2024 calendar, it's been probably 1 to 2 concerts a month with some bigger festival shows mixed in here and there. Also, they're not just pulling people from Enterprise proper and the surrounding area, asking them to buy tickets all the time. People travel from far and wide to see their shows, as far away as Portland, Seattle, Bend, Boise. For example, I have friends from Portland who took their family on a road trip last spring, and they said that their trip was enchanting. They love the beauty of the land and that they have never seen a better concert or had a better concert experience.
And we really appreciate when people do spend that $25 or $30 or $40. Some of the shows were $45, and we packed the house. And I was like, wow, that's amazing that people were able and willing to do that. And we just feel so privileged to have people taking a bet on us in our judgment, and hopefully they are familiar with the group or the band or whoever we've chosen, but there's sort of a type of curation that goes on with this where I'm like, okay, I think people will like this, or it's just like, I like this, and I'm telling you, you're gonna like it, I guarantee it.
So, obviously we're here talking today in 2024. They survived the worst of the pandemic, but that must have been a really challenging time for them.
It was. Darrell told me that up until 2020, they were getting the OK up and operating, functioning, getting subscribers to their newsletter. And then the pandemic shut all the events down. So the Branns spent those years working on the building. They got a grant for the new facade, and officially the OK Theater reopened in June 2022. But this was not the first pandemic that the OK Theater has survived. In fact, it was 1918 when the OK first opened for performing arts and then briefly shut down during what was known as the Spanish flu pandemic.
And it was a 500-seat house at that time, but everybody was, by doctor's orders, had to be one seat apart, so they could only fill half the seats. So they were doing social distancing then as well.
Oh my gosh, that's so fascinating that, of course, they were around for the Spanish flu pandemic. So what are the Branns hoping to do with the OK Theater in the coming years?
The Branns say their vision is to expand beyond the OK Theater's main structure into a complex of residential spaces, rental spaces, event spaces, and recording studio services. And then there's the idea for the Artist in Residency program, which I predict could just become the coolest live music venue and recording destination west of Neil Young's Crazy Horse Studio in the Colorado Rockies. Oh, and they also want to invest in a projector and screen to show movies.
I would like a Kung Fu night. I don't know if you'd like that. I'd like a Western night. And eventually maybe we have like the OK Saloon or pub, or I like the Public House, and maybe a big old table in there, and we can make a pizza and people come in, have a Coors and a slice of pizza, and we watch John Wayne.
Wow, that sounds awesome. I would definitely go to a Kung Fu movie night with pizza there at the OK Theater. In addition to all these awesome things that they are doing there, they just seem like really delightful people. What do you think is the driving force behind their vision for the OK Theater?
Well, Jen, it's pretty simple. They love bringing people together. That's kind of the bottom line. I had the chance to return several months after filming to screen my Art Beat film at the Old OK. So I got to be part of the audience that night. I came out from Portland with several of my OPB colleagues, and it was such a fun night. For me, the takeaway from making this film is the Branns have built a place where people from all political stripes and value systems can just set aside their differences and gather together for the love of music, the love of community, and friendship. The theater itself almost has a personality.
It wants to be beautiful. And don't you think? I think this place wants to be beautiful. It wants to share its space. It wants to be a place where people gather and enjoy themselves. It wants to be a place full of hospitality, beauty, and grace, and music and art.
Well, Kate, thank you so much for coming by and sharing this super cool story with us today.
Oh, thank you, Jen. It was so much fun reliving this story with you.
Kate McMahon is a producer for OPB's Oregon Art Beat. You can see the video she produced as well as the article she wrote about the OK Theater at opb.org. Thank you for listening to The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB. Julie Sabatier produced this episode, and our technical director is Stephen Cray. He also engineered the episode. The OPB podcast team also includes Mia Estrada and Sage Van Wing. Kate McMahon and Stephanie Gordon did the interviews you heard. Dan Evans edited the film. The music in this episode is from Audio Network. And hey, if you ever have a question for us, please know you can reach out. You can hit us up by email at theevergreen@opb.org. I'm Jen Chavez. Catch you later.